Dawson's Rambles.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here, coming at you today with some minor Sentai, sort of news. It's like mini news, primarily just some speculation and discussion, kind of a slow news week. But there were some things I wanted to discuss. First up, we're just gonna have the first episode description for BoonBoomger. Mainly wanted to use it to speculate about the possible structure of the series. And then we did have the description for the Kyoryugers finale, which came out in 2013. We had a description for the KIng-ohger finale, which there's nothing interesting in there. It basically just says, the Rangers fight the bad guy. But it got me thinking about speculation about the finale, about mainly whether the Kyoryugers will show up or not, and I wanted to discuss that. But first off, let's talk about our first episode synopsis for BoonBoomger. Let me read it off right now. Kifuto Mira, who is our Pink Ranger, has been forced into a marriage that she does not want, and her boyfriend has hired Hondo Taya, who I believe is the Red Ranger, to save her. Arriving at the church to pick her up in his modified Rockstar supercar, presuming that's the car we see in all the trailers, the two head to the airport where her boyfriend is waiting. However, en route they are attacked by a Heishi Shiren, which I'm going to assume is the villain, and Mira's wedding dress is turned into a Kurumaju. They misspelled Majin Buu. Obviously is going to be like the Monsters of the Week. To retrieve the dress, Taya transforms into Bun Red. So not a whole lot super interesting or exciting. Sounds pretty par for the course in a way. Sounds like kind of a fun premise. I do think it's funny that our Pink Ranger's in this weird arranged marriage and she has another boyfriend. It's very scandalous. It did make me wonder if maybe we only will see Red Ranger transform in this episode. Also, I wonder where Blue Ranger is. Although these episode descriptions are pretty brief, they don't cover everything, so I'll presume Blue will be in the episode in some manner. But it made me curious whether this episode might simply showcase him, and he's maybe already somehow established as Red Ranger. I'm curious to see, are we going to see his origins? Is this the episode where he gets the powers, or is he already established as Red Ranger? And will we see the others? Mainly because the last few years have actually been kind of non-traditional when it comes to introducing the Rangers. I think that Dawn Brothers did showcase everybody in the first episode in terms of, what they looked like, but we didn't really showcase the characters right away. We kind of met them in succession. Same thing with Zenkaiger. Zenkaiger, we introduced basically just Zenkaiser and Juran, and then we kind of had an episode for everyone. I honestly cannot remember if KIng-ohger had everybody morphed in the first episode, but if I recall, that series also kind of slowly introduced us to our cast, which I've actually really liked, and that was one thing I wanted to bring up, is I do hope we continue a unique patterning, because before these last few years, most Sentai pilots were usually a pretty rushed excuse to sort of give you a crash course in introducing everyone and doing the morph and roll call. Not like there wasn't some enjoyable ones, but it's nice to have a little bit of a breather and take your time with some things, and I've appreciated the sort of different approach to the structure, and that's one of the things I'm hoping out of BoonBoomger. As I've mentioned, I'm actually pretty excited for the series, even though I'm kind of prepared for it to let me down. Not because I think it'll be bad, but I'm just getting a bad feeling it might not be for me. But even if it's not, if it's kind of one of more of those silly series with the honking horde red that's not for me, I just do hope they keep up the structure shakeup. Not that I'm opposed to some traditional Sentai episodes or some traditional Sentai feelings and stuff like that. But in general, having watched Sentai so many years, it can get very repetitive. So it's been really refreshing these last few years to have Sentai structurally change things up. So I just hope that they don't lose that and go completely back to basics, kind of like Gotthard did. As far as KIng-ohger goes, like I said, the description for the episode isn't all that exciting. But I did want to speculate because when we got the episode descriptions for 48 and 49, there was something about a mysterious arrival, with people like myself speculating, will it be the Kyoryugers because they kind of set it up again for King to come back, or will it be the BoonBoomgers? There was rumors and speculation that the BoonBoomgers would be set up early, kind of like Don Momotaro was in Zenkaiger. And I am curious to see if the Kyoryugers appear. I honestly don't think the Kyoryugers will appear, meaning the whole team or any of the regulars. I think if anybody, it'll be King. But I'm curious to see because I honestly assumed he would make one more appearance before the finale. I was 98% certain that he was going to appear within the last quarter arc to sort of either have them travel back to Earth or just key up what the plot would be for the crossover in a way. Not in a necessarily direct tease, but in a way that obviously kind of plants the seeds for that. And since we're down to the final episode and we're getting that crossover, it does make me curious. Honestly, I would be fine, if not happy and gleeful, if they didn't make an appearance. I want the KIng-ohger's finale to be good and satisfying and all its own without toku nonsense. But I wouldn't be upset if they appeared maybe at the very end. I think if they have to appear, or by they, I keep saying they, if King has to appear, then I want it to be at the end of the episode. Let the meat and potatoes of the episode be about finishing KIng-ohger's story strong, just about them, no outside help or anything. But then I wouldn't mind him showing up at the end to sort of, again, tee up possibly the movie. Again, not necessarily directly. I mean, obviously it would be, but not in a way that feels too post-credity, if that makes any sense. Kind of like how Zenkaiger ended with them all going to travel the world. My first thought was, maybe if they teed it, it would be too confusing. Although I guess kids in Japan are used to the fact that one Sentai ends and another begins. Could kind of end like Zenkaiger, where it's kind of this call to adventure, where in a lot of series where it's multi-season, you could totally see the Zenkaiger's traveling worlds be the setup for season 2, but it's also just kind of a nice way of being like, hey, they're going to continue to have more adventures. So I wouldn't mind sort of an ending like that, where maybe King shows up at the end and be like, something's got to be done about the Kyoryugers, Marty, and then just kind of set up both the fact that we know they're going to be having the movie, and also, you know, just kind of that general idea of, hey, the King-ohgers are going to keep having adventures together. I guess some of it also depends on what the status quo looks like at the end. I'll be curious too if there's going to be any sort of status quo change at the end of the series. Like, are any characters going to leave for some reason? Will any of them die or something like that? I doubt any of the main cast would die, but I just can't help but think back to Dawn Brothers that had a pretty significant status quo change that they wound up upending, not only so they could have the movie, but then set it up so they can have kind of the business as usual status quo for future movies. So I'll be curious if there's any kind of sort of change in the setting for the status quo for the King-ohgers at the end. And I'm going to presume if there is, like let's say for some reason, I don't know, they kill Rackley's off and Rita decides to go on vacation, they're obviously going to just upend that. Although I don't know if Rackley's would be in the movie, but you know what I mean. But what do you guys think? Do you think King's going to show up in the finale? Would you like to see that, or would you rather just save it all for the crossover movie? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell to get notifications from my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.